You are an auric being and you have an aura around you, and many people can see it, and I'm learning to see it as well. And some people say I have some blue aura around me, but the point of this video is you are carrying an information field around you. You are an electromagnetic being. So what does it mean? It means that you have a magnetic field around you which is full of information, which is repelling some things in your experience and attracting some things in your experience. And this is the basis of the law of attraction that Abraham Hicks teaches, and he coins this term as the vortex, that you have a vortex around you which is filled with information about your desires and what you want and what you don't want. But the universe doesn't understand the language of I don't want this. Whatever you're focused upon, you have it in your auric field. You're a vortex, you are an electromagnetic being. And so the reason why I wanted to talk about this is, it is when people come to law of assumption and law of attraction, and they are like, oh, I can absolutely fine tune my control in this world and I can get absolutely everything I want. And that is true, but I want to put some light on another aspect of it, which is talked about in this book, Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeeland. And the idea is that there are thought forms or pendulums of energy all around us. For example, in war there are two pendulums of energy thought forms. For example, Israel versus Palestine. So there is immense amount of thought form and energy or information field that is filled right now between Israel and Palestine. And so if you are a support of one side, you get to access the energy, the emotion, the pain, the suffering of that side. And so there are endless information fields around us. For example, religion is a big one, is a huge one. Every single person who is related to a certain religion is in the pendulum swing of that religion. And so Vadim Zeeland talks about these pendulums as being big energy sources, electromagnetic energy thought forms, in which you can get swept in the moment you take a side, the moment you get involved in it. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is that our life, the reason it's so random, because anything can happen any day, right? Even though we are applying law of assumption, we are practicing mental diet and whatnot, because there are so many information fields all around us, magnetic fields, that we are interfacing with all day long, every day. For example, you go to work and your co-worker is in a foul mood, so that's her or his information field right there. And this information field, if you sympathize with them, if you antagonize, or whatever, if you sympathize with them, if you hate them, the moment you get involved in their information field, you are interfacing with your information field with them. You are electromagnetic being. This is why we can walk into a room and sometimes feel sadness and sometimes feel a raw emotion that we weren't even feeling before, because the people in that room or the energy in that room is vibing on a different frequency. And so you walk in and you are influenced by that energy. And this is very important to understand. If you don't know it, you will let the world and information fields and these huge pendulums of energy influence you all day long, and they will kick you around and you will lose control in your life. This is why our life is so random, even though we are applying law of assumption and law of attraction. And it all ties back into this quote by Nikola Tesla, that if you want to understand the secrets of this universe, you need to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And this is such a deep quote, because everything is energy here. Everything is energy. At the very base of this tree is electrons and atoms and electrons are nothing but energy. They collapse when you zoom enough. They collapse into nothingness. This is why the Hermetic teaching that this is a dream in the mind of the all makes sense, because it's a dream. It's an energetic dream, imagination of God being put forth via thought. So everything is thought, everything is energy, And so you can pull into things, and that's no joke. That's no joke. The moment you take side, the moment you get emotionally involved in something, the moment you sympathize, empathize, the moment you reject something, the moment you accept something, the list goes on. So when you do that, you invite that outside energy field, information field, electromagnetic field, thought form, whatever you want to call it, into your field. And that is when it can influence your field. For example, a huge one, a huge pendulum on Instagram, man versus woman. The age-old man versus woman, like women don't need men, and or blah blah blah, men are resenting women for various things. That's a huge pendulum. And this is why girls who end up, or men who end up hating the other, they don't get them, they don't attract them, because they get lost in this salty pendulum of man versus woman. They antagonize love, true love and connection between man versus man and woman, and therefore this toxic pendulum sucks them in, and they then go on to, women turn into maybe feminism, or men turn into this this toxic another, I don't need a woman, for example. This is an example, but this is very real. This is very real. It can suck you in, and then this man or woman absolutely gets sucked into this thought form of pendulum of man versus woman, and their entire personality then ends up becoming, borrowing from that thought field, that thought form, and they lose themselves. They lose their own information field. Their highly precious electromagnetic energy is seeped into that, and then their literal energy goes into becoming a person who is aligned with the thought form. So true love goes further and further away from this person. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And religion is one other, nationalism. Basically, we are interfacing with unlimited amount of energy fields, thought fields of other beings, and which are outside of us. And this is the basis of law of attraction. And since people don't know it, they are like, why is my life like so weird, and I can't control anything, or blah blah blah. Well, that's the reason. And law of assumption is your savior in this regard, because everything is you pushed out in your personal experience. There is a collective reality and there is an individual reality, and all these thought forms and these people are in the collective. But you have to first invite something from the collective by taking a side, by taking an opinion, to let it color your information field. So for example, you might have some resentment for another man or woman, right? And then you are inviting this sort of, for example, thought form that men are evil or women are like that, bad. And so you are inviting this thought form, and then you have opened up a portal between that thought form and your personal field to interface. And then you will find such stuff on Instagram, YouTube, everywhere. Wherever you will look, you will find that, because now your perception is matching, your vibration is matching, your frequency is matching with a certain thought form. So this is why law of assumption comes as your savior. For example, law of assumptions dictates that you do not react to the world. You assume what you want, and then you become a vibrational match to what you want by feeling the wish fulfilled. Simple. So for example, somebody wants wealth, but they're like, oh, there's wealthy people are taking all wealth from the poor people, and so you get into that thought form. So instead of trying to react to the world as being not just and not making opportunity for people to have more money, you let that all go. You throw that thought form out of your consciousness, and you stop interfacing with it, and you directly assume that I am earning a lavish, steady, dependable income, doing something I love with ease. And you assume it, you fulfill it within you, you feel it to be real, you imagine it, you imagine a scene where you are doing something amazing that you love, and you are earning a lot of money. And that's it. This is why law of assumption is inside out, not outside in, right? You don't care about the outside world. You color the world, you color the canvas of your life, the painting from within. So you assume something, you let go of circumstances, and you stick with your assumption, and then your vortex, as Abraham Hicks calls it, or your light field or electromagnetic field, then interfaces with the world and attracts the perfect scenario to get what you want. You see how it works. This is why law of assumption gives us this fine-tuned control. Law of attraction is a little bit, I don't like it in a way, because it gives too much importance to the outside world, that you need to become vibrationally aligned with something outside. No, law of assumption says you assume it, you feel it to be fulfilled within you, and you will get it. The rest is not your job. So this fine-tuned control is what saves you. The biggest example that I have already made videos about in the recently is me in Russia right now. There is a huge pendulum of Russia right now swinging a war, right? It can't get bigger than that, right? And financial sanctions. But if I was to borrow this this thought form of Russia being in financially sanctioned and in a war, I would never be able to get money inside this country for myself, right? Because my income is outside of this country. But I said, I imagine that I already have this money in my bank account, in my wife's bank account, and it happened for me. Now this is a prime example of rejecting or not borrowing energy from a thought form that is outside of you and assuming what you want and getting it. Law of assumption gave me this fine-tuned control. So the reason why I wanted to make this video is to make this distinction that if you think like your life is not in your control, even though you are trying to apply the law of assumption, think very carefully. Monitor your inner dialogue. Are you subscribing to some sort of a thought form that is outside of you? Are you inviting all sorts of bad programming from Instagram, from YouTube, from other places, and you're inviting it? Are you interfacing with some sort of man versus woman, or rich versus poor, or all sorts of these outside injustices? Are you subscribing to that? Because if you do, well, then that all you need to do is look in your vortex, as Abraham Hicks calls it. It's all there. Just monitor your thoughts, and you will see that you have been inviting these things in your life, and they are there for a reason. So purge them all by no longer associating with them. You see, this world is not about good and bad, it's about association only. Whatever you emotionally and mentally subscribe to and take side in, or even rejecting something, you are putting your attention there, and then you invite it, you interface with it, your electromagnetic field interfaces with it, and boom, it's in your experience, whether you like it or not. This is why this quote by Neville Goddard, that you attract what you are, not what you want, is so true, right? That it doesn't matter what you want, but if you are not vibrating on the frequency of what you want, you will not get it. So you need to look in the vortex. Who are you being? Who are you being? It's as simple as that. Because as Nikola Tesla said, that if you want to understand the secrets of this universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And frequency and vibration is all about resonance. What are you resonating with? Right? What are you emotionally resonating with? Because the universe loves harmony. The universe loves balance. So if you are being a negative person who feels like that nobody loves them, well, universe is not going to balance it out by showering love in your, down your throat when you are not even vibrating on that frequency. You are not resonating with love. So universe is not going to push it down your throat. It doesn't work like that. It will create more imbalance, right? Because if somebody has no concept of wealth in their mind, universe cannot give them wealth, because they will not be able to have it. They will not be able to seize the opportunity. If they get wealth, they will lose it, because they don't have the faculty to withstand the amount of wealth that universe can provide. Do you see the point that if you're not resonating with something, it's not gonna come with your experience. So think about what you're resonating with and try to clean up your vortex, your energy field, and fill it with lovely things by applying the law of assumption from inside out. Let the world be shaped by your inner assumptions rather than subscribing to all sorts of these pendulums that will suck you in and you will be lost in them. So this is it for this video. Until next time, bye bye.